I call the budget planning meeting to order. I would like us to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and Jason will lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank everybody for being here in this wonderful weather today. I'm going to turn the meeting over to Don and let him start walking us through this draft budget that he's put together for us.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, you all adopt a budget calendar in January of each year, which is the most aggressive that we can be as far as getting the budget passed as soon as possible with the least number of extra meetings. There's other boards and commissions that plays into this budget process, as you know, the school board, the planning commission. School board adopted their budget this past Monday night. Those numbers have been incorporated into this budget. It's been proofread. I think I've had 15 different versions on my computer since March the 1st. And this is the best version, the most correct version that exists right now. So you have a printed version in front of you. It's also posted online. The version online has all of the supporting documentation in the links under it. Looking at the synopsis page, you've seen these many times before. This compares FY26, the approved FY26 budget versus the FY27 proposed budget. This budget, as I do each year, is built assuming no increase in taxes. It assumes a 55-cent real estate tax, a $2.04 personal property tax. 1 penny on this budget equals $383,022. I'll say that again because I heard some pins, 383,022. It includes a 3% raise for all full-time employees. You know that in the past I've told you that we have 44% of our full-time employees who are reimbursed through the compensation board, constitutional officers and their staffs, and that leaves 56% that is locally funded. This budget also...
You said 3%?
Huh?
You said 3%?
56%, 3% raise.
Okay.
Yeah, 3% raise for all full-time people, 44% reimbursed through the comp board, 56% funded locally.
And is that what the General Assembly is pushing down through their bills?
There's two versions in the General Assembly. The House is pushing a 2%, and the Senate is pushing a 3%, and we won't know until probably 30 days after the session ends. The session is supposed to end Saturday, I believe.
Likely they won't get it done.
Yeah, I mean, we're always waiting on the General Assembly. This is just the best guess. The schools have adopted in their budget a 3%, so I have followed suit with a 3% for county employees as well. This also incorporates a 7% increase in health insurance. The county is absorbing this. There will be no increase to our employees based on that. That total number across the board is $62,894 county for county employees.
Would you say how much?
$62,894. So, and as always, we're very competitive on our health insurance. We have one plan that funds entirely the employee only, the high deductible plan, plus puts currently $126 into a health savings account. That will go up to, I believe it's $140 in the health savings account with the new 7% increase.
Have we gotten any information on our claims data yet?
No, that 10-year data that you asked about, claims versus insurance paid, not yet. I mean, I've requested it. I've actually got a meeting on Monday with our health insurance rep, so I'll see if I can't push that along.
Okay.
So, talking about the plans we offer, that one plan, high deductible plan, pays for the employee only completely, plus that little bit of money into the health savings account. On the Key Advantage 500 plan, the county pays for 90% of that. On the employee plus one, the county pays for 70%, and on the employee plus family, the county pays for 50%. That's very competitive when you look at other counties around. So, looking at the synopsis page, you'll see beginning in the left hand under FY26, that number there, $8,614,395, is the audited number that Jay Sanudo talked about at the January meeting. You'll remember that when he made his presentation, the numbers were good. They were a little bit higher than what we had expected, $1 million, $1.2 million, I think, above what we had projected as far as the fund balance goes. But I cautioned you at that meeting not to forget about the increased debt service that the board was going to have with the additional borrowings that were done in 2025, the $10 million Virginia Resource Authority note for our non-school county park projects, non-school capital improvement budget items, and the $15 million Virginia Public School Authority bond to finish up the new school. So going through the FY26 column, if all of the expenditures play out and the revenues play out as predicted, the fund balance would end the year at $6,729,346. That gets carried over to begin FY27 with. Now, history has shown that we typically underspend on our expenditures, so that number very well could be more than that $6.7 million to begin FY27. You'll see the categories there under revenue. The biggest change is under other local funds. I'll address that when we get deeper into the budget. You can also see under the expenditures, each department, there's that almost $1 million increase that the schools are requesting, and the biggest increase is the debt service that I mentioned earlier. FY27 shows a fund balance at the end of the year of $2,288,241, which is 4.47% of our total expenditures. You know that a prior board has set 7% as the goal for never letting the fund balance fall below that. Now, that's a prior board, and this board can change it, as we've said before, but I've come to realize that 7% is probably a good number to shoot for. And so 7% would be $3.5 million. You're $1,294,065 short of that 7%.
How much, 1.5 million?
$1,294,065. But that's what we're short.
That's what you're short. Yeah, it's $3,582,306 is 7%. So. One good thing here, looking at the information section at the bottom under capital improvement expenditures, we've had, tens of millions of dollars in the capital improvement budget for several years now with the new school and the other county park projects. What's projected for FY27 is below $1 million. Now, we do have park projects still under construction and going out to bid, but we've already borrowed the money to fund those, so that's why they're not showing up there under FY27. We've actually got the bid due tomorrow for Carter's Cove, so we'll see how that.
Where have you worked in the revenue that we've made from basically investing those bonds while we've held on?
That is right there under the capital project fund revenues. You'll see 1.75 million.
Okay.
That is the interest earned on the unspent bond funds. Now, I've told you in the past that, the federal government will not let you keep but up to a certain level of that interest. If you earn more interest than what you are paying, and it's some other factors involved there, which I don't, to be honest, fully understand. But at some point, you could have a negative arbitrage situation where you would end up owing back interest if you have earned too much. I've never seen that happen until this year. We have one note, the Truist $5 million note that was through the EDA, the first note that was borrowed for non-school related capital improvement items. We spent that out. That's why you borrowed the next $10 million to work on county parks projects. That Truist note actually ended up earning $111,000 more than what the federal government would allow. So I've had to write a check this month.
Who polices that?
Huh?
Who polices that? Do they let you know, or are you responsible for that?
No, we have,
The bank probably does.
the SNAP program through the state has auditing firms who watch this all the
Oh,
time.
and so they know right away?
Yeah, and they give us updates, like they've given us an estimate on the $60 million school note. Now, we don't have to worry about that until, 27 or 28. But at that current time, they estimated that we would have a little bit of interest to pay back on that. But that can change as interest rates go up and down, and as you spend the money out. Because if you don't spend it out quickly enough, you're obviously going to earn more interest. And so that's how that interest accumulates. And like I said, once whatever that threshold is that the federal government has, they can tell you. So we've had to cut a check this month to the IRS for $111,000 as an arbitraged rebate payment.
There's no way to get around that?
No.
Well, I guess
I
the
mean,
only way to
that's a-
get
that's a
around
good
it
problem to
is
have.
spend
Spend
it.
it.
Is spend it.
Spend it.
It's not like it's
spend
our
the
money
You
anyway.
don't hold it
Yeah.
long, and it wouldn't get to
Yeah.
that point, I
Yeah.
wouldn't think.
And typically what we do, Bonnie and I don't typically spend the interest bearing. In these funds that we set up, we have the principal in one fund, and we have the interest earned in another fund. And we don't typically spend anything out of that interest earned fund until we know whether or not we're going to have to pay any of it back through an arbitrage payment. So that's how we've handled that. So, but as I said, this is the first time that I've seen a negative arbitrage situation. So it's possible, doesn't occur a lot, but it did happen this one time. So,
That was a really rare instance where interest rates kind of
yeah.
went up very rapidly in a short period of time to the other side of the spectrum from
Yeah,
when we borrowed to when
Yeah, everything has
it
to,
almost doubled in rate.
everything has to, fall together for that situation to occur. So, but it can.
We still made out pretty good otherwise.
Yeah, you'll see when we get into the details, we actually earned in FY '25, I think it was $2.4 million on the bond interest, and but as we spend down on that, you only earn interest on the unspent balance, so that's why the interest comes down over time. So that's what the synopsis page looks like. You flip the page, we can get into a little bit more detail here. My estimates, well, let me get through the first three lines. The real property taxes estimated for FY '27 is $21,066,186. That's a firm number. Our tax base is $3,830,215,700. So you divide that by 100 and multiply by 0.55, you get $21,066,168. So that's, as I said, that's a firm number based on our tax base. The Public Service Corporation estimate is a Commissioner Revenue estimate. That's basically Dominion. They have upgraded some of their infrastructure in the county, which accounts for the increase there. And personal property taxes, I'm told that the estimate from FY '26 is a good estimate for FY '27 as well. So that's those numbers. From here on out, my estimates are based a lot on actual FY '25 numbers, because that is the last full year that we have data for, unless I know from looking at FY '26 to date numbers that the numbers should change. So most of the time, it's based on actual FY '25 totals, but in some instances, if I know different, I will adjust it based on FY '26 to date. So I don't know that I need to go through all of those, but if you compare that actual FY '25 column to the estimated FY '27, you'll see that the numbers are pretty consistent, within close range. when you see the local sales and use tax numbers, that $3,061,632 is a state estimate. That is the FY26 estimate, because historically, those estimates have run high. I have found, I haven't got the FY27 estimate yet, so I can't use that, but the FY26 estimate is that $3,061,632. Going down that list, franchise tax, motor vehicle licenses, taxes on recordation and wheels, cigarette tax, which we are part of the Northern Neck or Chesapeake Bay Region Cigarette Tax Board. We have 20 counties now in that board. I serve as the chairman of that board. Our cigarette tax is 40 cents per pack, and that, you know, we only have 5 stores in the county jurisdiction, and that's why our revenue is at $35,000. Most of the retail stores that sell cigarettes are within the towns, but we do have 5 stores within the county jurisdiction.
John, do you smoke cigarettes?
I do not.
Good. They'll kill you.
What's that?
They'll kill you.
Transient registry fee, that is for our short-term rentals. That's the $50 per year fee that they have to pay to register their short-term rental. The lodging tax, the last item on page 2 there, you'll see estimated at $75,000 for FY27. That currently is at 2%. And John's been talking with the EDA and doing some research with neighboring localities and jurisdictions to see where their lodging tax is, and it ranges all the way up to 8%, I believe, is the high. And the town of Kilmarnock is actually at 8%. So John and the EDA have been talking about possibly increasing this lodging tax. A couple different reasons. The state code says that if you go above 2% to 5%, between 2 and 5%, that 3% has to be devoted to tourism. Anything above that 5%, you know, can be devoted back to whatever the county wants to spend it on. So, as a way of providing some funding to the EDA, as I said, John and the EDA are talking about recommending to the board to increase that tax to make it equal to probably to make it equal to Kilmarnock at 8%. And that would provide a pot of money, as I stated, to fund tourism, which could pay for the River Realm contribution that you'll see later on in this presentation, as well as provide some funding to the EDA. So, John, you got anything you want to add on that? We're just planting the seed right now. I know John and the EDA are preparing a better presentation to come before you related to this.
The impetus of this was the EDA wishes to capitalize a small business loan program and to improve its ability to have a serious impact on businesses that want to grow and expand and those that may want to locate here or even startups. So they're thinking about annual sources of revenue. And out of a 20-county Middle Peninsula Northern Neck, the median is 5%, with the town of Kilmarnock being 8%.
Roughly, they'd get about $150,000 a year out of it.
I haven't done the math.
Yeah, I haven't either, but that's
What level would you say we're at right now? 5?
They'd get 4 pennies.
no, we're at 2.
2.
We're at 2.
Okay.
We're-
And between 2 and 5, by state code, has to be devoted to tourism.
So at 2 pennies, we're making 75.
Yeah.
They're very vague as to
2
what
2%.
tourism entails.
Yeah, but certainly the
3% more would have to go to, so basically
Yeah.
be, if you then gave the other 4% that would be remaining to that, it would basically be double that, 75 times 2.
Yeah. So just food for thought, you'll have a discussion at your April 9th meeting when you approve the school budget regarding tax rates. And so that's one tax rate that we could advertise to increase if it's the desire of the board.
Are
So,
we live?
yeah, we're online. Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, good. I'll mention this later then. Feeling river.
Let me go back to, we were talking about the real property taxes earlier at the top of the page. Just some information that you all may be interested in. The total tax deferred due to the land use taxation program for agriculture amounts to $201,054.15. The amount of tax deferred related to our land use taxation for forestry amounts to $41,634.45. Our veterans tax relief deferment amounts to $109,313.88. And our elderly and disabled tax relief amounts to $36,242.35. So just some information that may be good to know. If you go to page 3, I'm sorry, under the, at the top, permit privilege fees and regulatory licenses, again, all of those track pretty closely to FY25. Building permits, I have knowledge that the FY26 number is better than the FY25, so I've increased that above the actual FY25. It's actually a decrease from FY26, but more than FY25. The big increase here is under the last item, solar siting agreement. That's $750,000. That's from the Waller Solar Project, which has been sold 2 times. It's now owned by Rev Renewables. They have actually started cutting timber for this project. They, if you may recall that the original siting agreement was that they were to pay $1.5 million when they flipped the switch and cut it on, and then it's $90,000 per year for the following 30 years, and maybe 35. I'd have to go back and look. But because it was sold and got delayed, we had a meeting with the Rev Renewable folks, and I asked them that, our board was counting on some money from that siting agreement for budgetary purposes. Would they consider revising their payment schedule and giving us some money ahead of time? Mr. Palin was in that meeting, and they agreed. And so what they've done is they actually paid us $250,000 in December of last year, and they're due to pay us $500,000 in December of this year. So that's where that $750,000 number comes from. The remaining $750,000 will be paid when they flip the switch and cut it on, which will be FY28. Moving further through the revenues, again, if you have questions, you can stop me. Most of these track closer to FY25. Down near the bottom, under charges for services, you'll see courthouse security fee. That's estimated at $30,000. The actual from FY25 is $29,048. We've had conversations with the sheriff's office. This is actually earmarked for the sheriff's office to provide security in the court. So we haven't done it in the past, but we're going to do it this year when we get to June before the fiscal year ends. I'm going to do a transfer of that total amount collected under the courthouse security fee to the sheriff's office budget to offset part-time there for the bailiffs that they have for court security. Flipping to page 4. Again, it tracks closely with FY25 on all of these different line items. In the middle of the page there, that's a lot of donations and grants. As I said before, I don't budget grants because they're not 100% until you have them in hand. You'll see there is, in the middle of that column, the county parks grants. Actual FY25 was $150,000. That was from the Virginia Outdoors Foundation for the Carter's Cove Park. That has been received. I would love to put under the estimated FY27 column right there, $1,623,383. That was the Community Flood Preparedness Grant that we were awarded through DCR. And we have spent that. We've submitted the paperwork for reimbursement about a month or so ago. John's been tracking that. He got word today that the DCR has approved it, now it's on the way to VRA for payment. So, once that money's received and I've got it in the treasury, I'm going to put that number in the budget because that goes back to the general fund. And that number right there will carry us above the 7%.
Good job.
So, the opioid settlement number there, in FY '26, that was basically a guess. I've gotten some really better information, and but what I've estimated in FY '27 is an actual number. That's a good number. So, as I said, FY '26 was a guesstimate. FY '27 is a good number. So, you'll see 70,000 in miscellaneous revenue. As I said, I don't budget for all of these different grants and gifts. What I've done there is just basically took the total under actual FY '25 of the smaller amounts and grouped them together there under 70,000. The last item, VRA 2010 interest rebate, that note has been paid off. That was the school energy performance note. That's been paid off, so there is no rebate there. Recovered costs, you'll see, you'll remember the forestry department came in and presented a check from some timber they cut on the Chilton Woods State Forest, but we don't get that all the time, so there's nothing there in the estimated FY '27. Page 5, top of the page, that's the local contribution to the Social Services Department. You can see, looking at the estimated FY '27 versus the actual FY '25, there's a huge difference there. They never spend their entire budget, I mean, the budget that they've submitted is what's under estimated FY '27, but their actuals are going to be well below that estimate. You can see the other items there, the Personal Property Tax Relief Act, the PPTRA, that's a firm number. The categorical aid, that's the comp board reimbursements to the county for the constitutional officers. Haven't got those estimates yet from the comp board, but what I've done is I've added 5% to the FY '26 numbers, and that 5% is based on the fact that they will be funding a 2% bonus for comp board employees and their staffs effective June 1 of this year, and then the 3% bonus that takes effect July 1 of this year. So those numbers will be very close. You'll see at the bottom of the page, our victim witness grant, that is split between state money and Fed money. The total grant is just under 80,000, so the estimate is 38,000 from state money and also 38,000 from federal money. If you turn to page 6, again, if you have any questions, you can stop me, but those they track pretty closely with actual FY '25, and as far as those grants go, actuals, as I said, I don't budget for grants until I have them in hand. So under public safety, there was an ARPA law enforcement grant in FY '25, but there's no more ARPA. In fact, I've got I was invited to close out our ARPA reporting here by email this week. So there's nothing there for FY '27. Then you'll see I told you about the local portion of the social services money. Toward the bottom of that page is the state portion of the social services budget, that $1,238,923. And again, their actuals are far below that. They never spend their entire amount. Flipping to page 7, you'll see the revenue from the federal government related to social services. And again, it's the actual versus the estimated is a lot of difference. The next line, the capital projects fund, this is what you were asking about earlier, Jason, the interest on bond proceeds. You'll see actual FY '25 was $2.4 million. That's because there was a higher unspent balance at that time than there is now. That 1.75 number I think is a really good number. I've gone through and done the math on that, so I think that's a really good number. So, next item down the page is a contribution from the general fund. As I said, the school board adopted their budget on Monday night. It was a little bit different than the version that they presented at your February meeting, and it's about $1,800 different than what the newspaper reported on today. So the numbers in this budget are the numbers that Kia and Jessica sent me on Tuesday morning when I asked for a copy of the adopted budget. So the local contribution for the schools for FY '27 is $14,875,364. And that's up $759,296. Everything else below that, they're all school estimates pulled directly from their detailed budget. And so that's carries us over to page 10, where the school cafeteria fund is located. That's up a little bit from last year, but still below the actual from FY '25. But again, these are school estimates placed into our overall budget. Page 11 has the textbook fund, and at the bottom of the page, you have totals from the different sources of revenue and a grand total line on page 12. So that's the revenue side. Any questions? I know you all will go through this at your leisure and maybe develop some questions. You can certainly, email me, text me with whatever questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them.
So it's your opinion that money we supposedly get from the grant will put us above that?
Yeah, it will, yeah, because we were $1,294,000 short, and that grant is $1,623,383. So, I mean, I can do the math.
That'll increase the fund balance only, it won't affect the deficit.
It will increase the fund balance, which the bottom line fund balance will be greater than 7%, reflecting that number.
But it doesn't change the fact that the budget's $4 million in the red.
Should have helped that.
Yeah, it will. It'll
It
be,
would be extra income coming in.
yeah, it would be decreased by the 1.6 million. That's right, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's how it gets to the fund balance.
yeah. That's exactly right. And he's a CPA.
Don't hold that against me. Don,
Yes,
how
sir.
much, this is just for my information purposes, how much roughly are we earning on that extra school money that is being invested? What's roughly what we're getting?
It's, I want to say it's between 4 and 5%.
Okay,
I have to double check with Bonnie on that, but that's,
I was just wondering how, what type of return we're
Yeah.
getting there. Okay.
so. Any other questions on revenue before I embark on the expenditures? All right. Page 13, this is the beginning of the expenditures, the general government tab. First item is the Board of Supervisors. You all adjusted your pay back in FY '24, but there's a couple of line items below that, the mileage and the education and conference, which have not been adjusted since FY '19. That's 8 years ago. So you probably should consider adjusting those numbers. But what I would like to do is, before you all talk about how you're going to adjust the board's numbers, I'd like to go all the way through the budget so you've got a full understanding of where everything is before you talk about how you're going to adjust your budget. Moving on to county administration, this shows 3% salary raise. You'll notice a negative number under life insurance. That premium has decreased a little bit, so it'll be consistent through most departments, not all departments, because there's a couple of nuances in a few departments, but most departments will show a decrease under the life insurance line item. So, again, I base my estimates heavily on actual FY25 numbers, since that's the year that the closest year that we have a full year's worth of numbers for. Biggest increase down there is under mileage, going from 3,500 to 7,500, and that's mainly because John likes to go to a lot of meetings.
Don't like to.
It's all those awards and grants we're winning.
Was that a thump? I just heard the wheels run over you.
Flipping the page to page 14, county attorney number, same number as in FY '26. Independent auditor, that, our last contract with them has an $800 increase per year, so that's reflected in the budget. Nothing there for real estate assessor, we're not at that point yet. Commissioner revenue, again, lines show 3% increase, raise, and again, the deficit in life insurance, and again, her numbers are very close to the prior year. Page 15, nothing on the Board of Equalization.
We're gonna have to get after the county attorney who overspent his budget.
Well, in that number, I think that also in FY '25, because that began July 1 of '24. I think we had, you remember a couple of the court cases we had on some solar projects. We had VACORP representing the county, and so our fee that we had to pay to VACORP beyond the deductible went into that line item as well. So I don't know, don't know that we can blame Jim on that.
I'm just teasing him.
Yeah, we can.
He's not here, so we can blame him.
So, page 15, the treasurer line item, under the change on the top line salaries there, you'll see that's more than the 3%. What that was, Bonnie was without a chief deputy for like 4 months, and she had to increase the salary to get a good qualified person in that position. Shouldn't affect our FY '26 budget because she was without that position for 4 months, but she had to increase it, and that's being shown, reflected in that number there, along with the 3% raise. And you'll see she has, let me see, she has some increases, mainly postage. You know, she does a lot of the mailings, county for tax purposes. Her education and conference bill for '27 is actually decreased. That's because, I'm sure you all realize, Bonnie is the president of the Virginia Treasurers Association, and they have their annual conference this year in June in Williamsburg, and so for the last year, she's been involved with that a lot. As Jason, I'm sure you can, you know, you have similar experiences through VACO with that. So, but that's showing a decrease in FY '27. So, next line item, information technology services. That's Glenn, only reflecting the 3% raise there. There is a position, second position in that line item. It has not been filled yet, but we're working on getting an advertisement out for that second position. Electoral board, the increase there is based on state mandated increases to the electoral board, and you'll see a decrease, overall decrease there in their request for FY '27. And under registrar, just a small increase, mainly due to the 3% raise. So you'll see the final number for FY '27 on the general government is $2,394,013. That is a $106,140 increase over FY '26. Any questions on general government? All right, I'm on page 18 now, moving to courts. At the top of the page, that says circuit court. That's not the circuit court clerk's office. That's actually the circuit court judge's office. And you'll see, and I never know, I don't get an estimate from the circuit court judge telling me what we're going to have to pay. We pay this one time in August of every year. I will say that what we paid in FY '26 is a lot less than the actual number from FY '25, which is why I left FY '27 at the FY '26 level.
Would it be difficult to add a column to this that would show the percent change in amounts?
I could, Jason, but if the more columns you put across the page is going to reduce the font size, and it's more numbers to look at. And, you know, what I did last year, I put that extra column on the synopsis page and did the, you know, the percentages of increase or decrease for each department.
Over there, okay.
And so I'm, you know, I can do that again, you
Okay.
know, but it's, I mean, the more numbers you put on that page, they get smaller and they all run together. So, General District Court, pretty consistent. The Adult Drug Court, that's something that all the counties in the Northern Neck contribute to, basically to provide intervention and help to folks convicted without basically incarcerating them. So that's, I'm told from the Commonwealth Attorney's Office that that's a good thing. So we utilize it a lot, and it's a good thing. So J&DR Court, pretty consistent. At the bottom of the page is the clerk of the circuit court, and you'll see the change on the top line salaries is larger than the 3%. That is because the compensation board gave her office a 5th position. So that is an additional position there for the clerk of the circuit court. So they've gone from 4 employees to 5. On page 19, Library of Virginia grant, that we typically get that every year, but again, I don't know the exact amount, so I don't budget for that. The court-appointed special advocates, CASA, is level funded, $5,000. You'll see the victim witness assistance program there. That department is completely paid for with grant money. As I stated, state and federal grant money completely funds that victim witness department. On page 20, the Commonwealth's Attorney's Office, again, that number on the top line, the change is more than the 3%, but this is what they did. You remember back in, I guess it was FY '24, '25, Tony thought that he could run his office better with part-time help. And he tried that for a year or so and determined that that wasn't the way to go. So he basically swapped some part-time money to pay more for a full-time position. And so that's why you'll see the difference there. Increase of $48,700 on salaries, but a decrease of $45,010 on part-time salaries. So that's why those numbers shake out as they do. Total judicial administration FY '27 is $1,239,690. That is an increase of $102,686 over FY '26. Any questions on judicial administration? Moving to page 21, public safety. Sheriff, law enforcement, budget. You'll see that the number there, the change on the first line for salaries is greater than what 3% is, but that is due a lot to compensation board regrades to higher paying levels during the course of the year based on years of service or, education gained or whatnot. So once you achieve a higher pay band with the comp board, your salary goes up. So that's where that number comes from, in addition to the 3%. He's also asking for an increase in a little bit of increase in overtime and part-time, and a few increases on down the line there. And the sheriff will be here on March 26th to update you all. Right now, you have 15 presentations scheduled for Tuesday, March 24th, and 8 on Thursday, March 26th, prior to your regular meeting. Bottom of page 21 is some more grants. Top of page 22 is the school resource officer. Those numbers are hard to track and be consistent during the course of a year because sometimes they will change resource officers during the year. And you may have a resource officer who's at a lower pay band and he's replaced with someone with more seniority, more years of service at a higher pay band, so those numbers get skewed. But that's, right now it's 2 school resource officers, and the request for FY '27 is basically showing just a 3% increase. Some additional grants there. Volunteer fire departments. Fire departments are asking for a raise this year. They're asking for $525,000 total. Last year, they received $413,546. Matt's going to be here on the 24th, and he's asked some fire department representatives to come with him so that they can address you all. The main thing is, they're under the impression, and I got to do the research to confirm this, but that other counties are contributing more to their volunteer fire departments than Lancaster is, and I'll try to get that information together before March 24th. But they're asking for $111,000.
Keep them happy, because it's way better than having a paid fire department.
This is way better than having a paid fire department.
It is a hefty increase.
It is a hefty increase. You're right.
25%
Yeah, I'll be
25.
real interested in what the other counties are paying.
Yeah. And I'll get that information.
On a percentage, that's a pretty hefty increase.
Yeah.
25%.
And I assume that when they do present, they're going to share what they intend to do with it. They're not just asking for an increase because the other counties.
Oh, no. They're trying to make payments on apparatus and,
Okay.
and replace aging equipment, personal protective equipment, They're,
Fire
yeah.
trucks
They have
like
to meet
doubled in
certain
price.
codes as well.
They do.
Easily.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's that? And,
Fire trucks like doubled in price in the last few
Oh,
years.
yeah. I mean, it's outrageous what these fire trucks and ambulances, it's outrageous what they cost. And then, as Bill was saying, the apparatus, the air pack apparatus that you wear, only lasts but a few years now, and it has to meet certain standards, which change frequently. So
It's like football equipment, you have to send it off every 2 years to get it reconditioned or recertified,
yeah.
or it's just continued.
Yeah, but yeah, percentage-wise, it is a big increase, but it is still a whole lot better than trying to fund a paid fire department, for sure.
Agree to that.
So, the bottom of the page, under Volunteer Rescue Services, you'll see TEMS, T-E-M-S, Council. Previously, that has been PEMS, P-E-M-S. P-E-M-S is the Peninsula Emergency Medical Services. TEMS is the Tidewater Emergency Medical Services. They have restructured over this last year, and PEMS has gone away. And so we now are within the Tidewater Emergency Services Council. And you'll see that the requested contribution has decreased. That's because there are more counties within the Tidewater Emergency Services Council. And if you have more counties to fund you, then the amount per county is less. So David Long, who is the executive director of the Tidewater Emergency Services Council, will be here on Thursday, the 26th, to bring us up to speed on that. Relatively small amount of money, but they do good work as well. The bolded line item under that, Gloucester Emergency Shelter, that is a new request this year for $5,000. You may remember Linda Hodges, who was the executive director of the Community Services Board. She's now the executive director of Gloucester Emergency Shelter. It's called GUEST, is what it is, and she is requesting Lancaster contribute $5,000 to that. That is an emergency homeless shelter. And I know that, John, you've had some conversations with those folks as well. So that is a new request, and let me see when they may be here.
She's gonna be here.
I'm looking down my list right now. Let me see. She has not responded back to my email, but I'll tell her that, I assume you all would like to have her here to,
Well, it's named Gloucester Emergency Shelter, so I wanted to have, people in this area served, be served.
you want to,
They serve our area, but when I pressed them about how many people are actually coming from Lancaster County, they didn't have any specific numbers. And I know, talking to our housing director and social services, who often get individuals who are, out of housing, but there's a difference between homelessness and chronically unhoused. There's a difference in definition, and from what I can tell, most of the population that have issues maintaining housing in Lancaster County, it's because they're chronically unhoused, not necessarily homeless.
Oh, no, that might need further discussion.
I'll see if I can't get someone from their group here. Page 23,
Not in favor of new expenditures in this budget?
Page 23 is our paid EMS department. Again, that change there is more than 3%. That reflects an additional position there within the EMS department. Also requesting increase in overtime. Same story there. We have more hours to cover and fewer people who are qualified to do it. And it's,
You said it's to cover additional, position.
yes.
They not full of staff now, right?
No, they're not. He's got 2 positions open right now. One thing that will help the EMS department is to offer hazardous duty retirement supplement to them. We talked about this some last year. We had to go through the process of getting an actuarial study done to determine what that would cost the county. We have done that. We got the results back from that actuarial study. And what that basically does, currently, our law enforcement personnel qualify for the hazardous duty retirement supplement. Basically, what that does is allows you to retire 5 years earlier than normal under hazardous duty. And EMS and fire personnel qualify for that as well. We have not offered it in the past, but I think we should.
This isn't through the VRS.
This is through VRS, yes. A lot of times when Matt tries to hire someone, that's often the deciding factor whether they come here or not, whether we offer that hazardous duty retirement supplement. Because if they're coming from a prior jurisdiction that offered it, and then we don't, then they lose those years of service when they come here. Now, there's 2 levels of that hazardous duty supplement. There's a 1.7 multiplier, which is what we currently have for our law enforcement, and then there's an enhanced 1.85 multiplier, which you can choose to offer. Currently, right now,
And what does that mean, 1.8 years for every year of service? Is that what you're referring to?
no, that multiplier is based, that calculates how much has to be contributed per each payroll employee. And this does not just affect the law enforcement employees and the EMS employees. Every employee here would have more contributed to the VRS, a higher percentage, if we choose to do this. Our multiplier,
Everyone would pay more, but only the certain people would get a benefit.
correct, yes,
With either of those multipliers?
yes.
Would that drive their individual cost up, or just the county's cost up?
It's county's cost. It does not affect the individual cost. It's a county cost.
I wonder why it's every employee would be
It-
I mean, I
it-
know that's the rule, but
It affects everybody. I mean, yeah, that's, so, right now, our VRS percentage is 13.16%. If we chose to adopt the 1.7 multiplier and add EMS to that, our percentage would jump to 15.94% for every employee. That's a total cost of $232,000 to the county to add our EMS folks, that's 15 positions, to the 1.7 hazardous duty supplement.
And that changes their retirement to what then?
It basically allows them to retire 5 years earlier.
What is it now?
Which 65 is the retirement age, but it would allow you to retire at age 60 with at least 5 years of service. You can do early retirement at age 50 with at least 5 years of service. Of course, your benefit would be reduced if you retire before age 60. And it's available in Plan 1 and Plan 2 VRS. There is no hybrid hazardous duty supplement. So I've got this is a very nice,
So how many total years do they have to put in before they could be eligible for retirement? I'm confused, because like a teacher is 30 years at 55. So like, how does it work for these other employees?
it is, unreduced early retirement is age 50 with at least 30 years of service.
Okay.
Um,
So this would change it to essentially
They could retire 5 years.
25 years, so they could retire at 45 and.
Yeah,
And-
it would basically cut 5 years off of your retirement. But this table outlines all of the VRS programs that are offered, so the, I might have one extra. Take one, pass it down. And I was telling you that to adopt the 1.7 multiplier, it's going to cost the county $232,000. To adopt the 1.85% multiplier is going to cost the county $330,000. And our percentage for every employee would jump from the 15.94 to 17.22. So,
But our,
I guess, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so our sheriff's office has that in place.
it's already in place for the sheriff's office at 1.7.
Why didn't we, I'm just confused, why didn't we make that switch at that time? So is it common for a county to offer it to the sheriff's office but not to the emergency services?
I don't know how common it is, and I don't know that EMS and fire have always qualified for it.
Okay, gotcha.
I think that's something that's happened within the past, several
Because the
years.
jobs are very similar.
Yeah, and there's even talk at the state level, you may have seen an article, I think in the Northumberland Echo, where Jimmy Brand, who's, was Chief of Emergency Services in Essex County for years, he's now Chairman of the Board of Northumberland, he was talking about how there's been bills in the General Assembly to add dispatchers to the hazardous duty supplement, because, they talk people through CPR and things like that, over the radio. And when I was talking, Matt and I had a conference call with the VRS folks. I asked how come county administrator position was not hazardous duty, because I have every department pointing guns at me all the time, so, but they.
Well, for that matter, politicians too.
I didn't get anywhere with that argument, but anyway, that's, for us to, we're very competitive with our health insurance. Retention and recruitment and retention of EMS folks is tough. And
How does it on the other end of the spectrum? Because I guess if you can retire earlier, more people are going to take advantage of that, or everybody would take advantage of it if they could.
yeah,
So you lose people on one end, but
Well,
can
you may
recruit
lose-
on the other end. So how do those balance out?
I think you may lose full-timers, but you could gain part-timers on the other end. So those who retire could possibly work some part-time hours. So, so I don't, if you consider that, it may be a wash. I don't know. I think, I think we should probably do at least a 1.7, $232,000 to the expense to the county. That is not included in this budget. So you,
232, and what was the other?
the other one was 330,000.
$100,000 difference.
Yeah. Currently, Essex County offers the coverage to their emergency medical services. Northumberland does, Richmond County does, Westmoreland County does. The only two that offer the 1.85 are Richmond County and Westmoreland. Everybody else offers 1.7.
Yeah, I think we need to do that.
You know, I'd say definitely, it probably would be even better to do it at the most, since,
Well, I mean, to me, like I said, I think we need to do at least a 1.7. If you want to take it to the 1.85, that's, that's a decision the board would have to make, but either the 232,000 or the 330,000, neither one of those numbers are included in this budget, so that would be additional.
You said the 1.8 is offered by.
1.85 is offered by Richmond County,
Westmoreland and Richmond County?
Richmond County and Westmoreland.
Okay. I think 1.7 is, 1.75 is good. Because we can always increase it.
Yeah, and that's a question we asked when we had the call. If we started at 1.7, would we have to go through this whole process of this actuarial study again to go to 1.85? Because this took a long time to get all this information, and they said no. They've got the information they need now, that if we, started with 1.7 and then a year, 2, 3 down the road wanted to go to 1.85, we could do that. So. So I know Matt's been pushing for that for several years, at least a couple years. I can't say several, but for a couple, as a recruitment and retention tool. Page 24,
be a big one. I mean, it seems like it'd be a pretty big one.
pretty what?
I mean, if I go somewhere and I can retire 5 years early
Oh,
and
yeah.
make more money, that's a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
You may make that decision all
Yeah,
day long,
yeah.
every day.
He gets asked that question all the time, and like I said, a lot of times, it's the deciding factor between if somebody comes here or not.
Definitely puts us at a big disadvantage not offering.
Yeah, currently, right now, yeah. And like I said, we are very competitive on our health insurance, so, something for you all to consider. Page 24, some grant columns there. Public safety radio, Matt can go over those numbers in more detail if you like. Very, very close to FY '26 estimates there. Department of Forestry at the bottom, that's $4,000 estimate. The actual was $39.62. And I remember last year, Craig, you asked me, did they adjust the numbers, acreage numbers of forestry on an annual basis? And I didn't know the answer at that time, but we do get a statement from them annually. And it does have an acreage number on it. Now, I'd have to go back to the previous year's statement to see if it's different. But we do get that on an annual basis from the Department of Forestry.
Don,
Yes, sir.
let me back up here for a minute. So that when we come back again, the numbers be in there. If it's the general consensus that we do the 1.7, won't we say that now, then you can work that number
I can
in?
put those numbers in there
Yeah.
if it's
I
the,
mean,
yeah.
if everybody, I would like to see it in there. I don't know whether we need a motion, but I think it's
No,
general
you
consensus.
don't, yeah, you don't need to make a motion because you're not approving anything
Yeah,
with the budget
yeah,
right now,
consensus
just,
that we do it, so you can go ahead and make a note and put those numbers in there, so we,
okay. At the 1.7,
1.7,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
okay. And again, that Department of Forestry figure is to cover any costs if we have a forest fire here for the Department of Forestry to send a bulldozer to plow a line around the fire. That's basically what that's for.
I would think that forestry number's going down.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at that, but that's,
The acres are, now whether it's going down on here or not,
Yeah.
I don't know.
yeah, like I said, I'd have to pull multiple years of those statements to see if the acreage numbers have gone down.
Yeah.
Page 25, local emergency services department, everything is the same there except for a $2,000 increase under the AED line item. The CERT program there is included under there, although they're pretty much a separate entity now. They're actually called Water Team Incorporated, but We know them historically as the CERT, the Community Emergency Response Team. So, bottom of that page is the jail budget for the sheriff. Now, that change line item is a new position. The sheriff is requesting a new position for the jail staff, along with a couple of increases, food, electrical services, water.
Have we seen a big spike in the electric bills at your level? And have you investigated these bills? Because they're, like, a lot of people are complaining about this, but it's on a more interesting level than just, it's one thing for a cost of kilowatt to go up, but fixed energy uses have suddenly spiked. Like, say you had a separate meter on a well. A well doesn't suddenly use more kilowatts. The bill may go up because they're charging more per kilowatt, but it shouldn't go from saying using 15 kilowatts to now all of a sudden using 180.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. And there's a lot of bills out there that are, people are saying that. So something's going on at the Dominion level that's caused bills not only to increase the kilowatt, but the amount of energy things are using has suddenly gone up for some reason.
I have not, nothing has really caught my eye on that, but I'll have to look
Do we
at
have any individual meters on things that are just sort of would be a fixed cost and shouldn't be changing much
Yeah.
energy usage?
We actually have one down behind the social services office where the alternative education trailer used to be. We did not cut that off when the trailer was moved, and historically, that has run like $7 a month, I think.
So investigate those and see if
Yeah.
any of those fixed energy suddenly started to have a spike in energy use. It went from some arbitrary sort of stable kilowatt usage and now all of a sudden has gone up 3, 4, 10-fold, because that's what I'm seeing people, and that's kind of what I'm looking at my bill, because I got used an absorbent amount of energy last month. And that kilowatt is sort of going up, and these fixed ones should be the red flags, because if like that meter suddenly went up a bunch of kilowatt usage, there's a red flag.
Yeah.
Because there's no way it should go up in usage because no one's using it.
Yeah, and like I said, nothing has caught my eye when I see the bills come across my desk, but I'll look
Investigate
at
that issue some more.
But you know, ordinary, I mean, you have seen your bill increase here though.
Yeah,
Okay.
like December and January, as cold as it was, obviously, those numbers are up.
Yeah.
But,
I think, a lot of people, outside of what Jason is talking about, is really complaining because their bills are double,
Yeah, that's one thing if they just went up in energy usage and they actually use that energy, but if it's something like
Yeah.
more nefarious going on,
Yeah.
or something with these smart meters, I don't know, there's a lot of people
Something-
complaining about
yeah.
fixed energy bills that
Yeah.
are on like wells, community wells, and they're suddenly spiked
Yeah.
energy use, and that doesn't make any sense, because a well pump should use the same amount of energy, whether it's 10 degrees or 500 degrees, it doesn't matter.
yeah. I guess unless it's running longer or
Yeah,
something,
unless suddenly some,
yeah.
and then if that were the cases, then there would be an indication of like there's a well leaking and the
Yeah,
pump's running too
yeah.
much or other issues,
Well,
but
you have to be
Yeah.
careful with some of these, like community wells, is there heat, in the pump house, the well house or something like that, because the heat would be running. I know we got a situation like that, one of the clubs that I belong to, and we were sitting there wondering, why is the electric bill going up? Nobody's there, but we got a heat
Yeah.
thing in there to keep the,
yeah, from
and
the
so evidently
Yeah.
that was running,
that would make sense.
yeah.
Well, I'll take a look at that. Page 26 now, juvenile probation and detention. Those numbers are pretty close to FY '26, except for the contribution to the juvenile detention center. That's gone up 18,000, but that number is based on a 5-year average of services provided to the county. So that's not, it's not a whole lot we can do about that. It's state mandated that we contribute to them, and it's based on a 5-year average, and the number is what it is. So, Building inspection department.
We're using it that much more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can see the FY '26 number was 31,919. Typically, it runs somewhere in the 40s that I've seen during my tenure here. But there is an increase in services. And you'll see the 5-year average page in the supporting documentation that's linked online to the agenda. So, that page also lists all the other counties that it serves as well, so you can see how we compare with all the other counties that they serve. Building department, those numbers just reflect a 3% increase. And on page 27 as well, animal control, those numbers just reflect a 3% increase. Last item, medical examiner there. The medical services, we get a bill every time an autopsy is done for $20, but those unclaimed remains, what you see under actual FY25, that 4,800, that was 3 unclaimed remains that the county ends up having to pay for when remains are unclaimed. I haven't budgeted anything for that because, you know, I still find it hard to believe that, you know, somebody has no one. You know, so. Total for public safety for FY27 is $9,714,901. That is an increase of $618,295. Any other questions on public safety? Page 28, that's our Public Works Department, just 2 departments here, refuse disposal and general properties. Got 1 person overseeing both of them now. Director of Public Works, we call him. That's, you'll see the change, the salary change column under refuse disposal. That's a little more than the 3%, but you may remember that we had a pay adjustment to that individual when he was promoted to that Director of Public Works position last fall. So that number is reflected there. The increase in part-time salaries, that's not really an increase. That's just getting the number for FY27 to reflect the actual number. Because what was requested in FY26 was low. That actual number in FY25 is more correct. As you know, our refuge sites only close 2 days a year, Thanksgiving and Christmas. We find now that we have to put 2 people at Kilmarnock a lot of days, particularly during you know, daylight hour, the mid-daylight hours. Anytime we've started passing on the increase to our part-time folks there that full-time people get. So that will reflect a 3% increase for them. And we are, those folks are well above the minimum wage requirement for the
I was
state.
getting ready to ask that question.
They're well above that. And most everybody who works at those sites, as you know, is retired. And they just want to work a couple days a week just for something to do. We only have, I think, 2 that are less than retirement age. And once we had the recyclable building in place at Kilmarnock, we will probably have to add some full-time staff to that department. And, you know, first dibs would go to the part-time folks who may want a full-time position. So, but that's.
When is the construction over there going to be completed?
Well, the site work is complete. We are waiting on Dominion Power to bring the power in there for the 3rd compactor. The infrastructure has been placed for that. Right now, we're obtaining bids on a metal building to house the recyclable.
When are the power lines going to go underground there?
I don't know.
Is that going to be associated with Dominion's work, or?
Yes. Yeah.
That seems like the last big piece over there.
We're at Dominion's
It
mercy.
seems like once they get rid of that, they can change the flow a little bit better over there to be a little bit more efficient.
Yeah, well, you know, they've placed those Jersey walls there and, you know, trying to flow the traffic in through the new entrance and come out through the existing old entrance, and, which is a better traffic pattern, but it's gonna take a while for the public to get trained on it. So.
It may be possible too, once we get it all straight, to turn the like other dumpsters, so where you can just set those sort of like in a line like this with spacing, so you can just kind of drive between them,
Yeah, I mean,
the dump off ones.
I'm sure that it'll, you know, we'll look at all of that,
Yeah.
how to make the traffic flow better. So, those numbers have just been adjusted a little bit to reflect the actuals. The maintenance service contract line item The actual for FY '25 was $866,910. That's a little bit skewed because if you remember when we first started the site work there for where the expansion is going to go, they found some trash laden soil that had to be removed. So that, that was not part of the contract with the contractor at that time. So we had to haul that to Waste Management, and that's what caused that increase in that line item. So that skewed a little bit there, but the 800,000 should be a good number for FY '27. General Properties, got one full-time employee there. Under FY '27, I did have another full-time position in there last year. We ended up removing that when we were trying to adjust the budget numbers to make them look better, to get to 7%. I'm bringing back that amount of money, but not as a full-time position, as 2 part-time positions. When we get all of our parks online, we're going to need that full-time position. But until that time, I think it's more efficient to run with 2 part-time people in that capacity. One is mainly going to be a grass cutter, and one has extensive knowledge of the primary school and the high school, which I'm hoping to bring on board part-time to assist us with those 2 buildings. Rest of those line items on that page 28 are pretty close to the actuals from FY '25. When you get to page 29, the biggest increase is under lease on public access sites. We are in a lease agreement with Stay the Course LLC for Harpers Creek, so that's reflected in that increased number, as well as the monthly payment for the registrar's trailer behind the building here. That's all reflected in that increased number.
So is that a rental trailer, basically?
It is a rental trailer that will be there until we make the move to the high school, and then we'll turn that in.
If that's what we ultimately do. Have they made any progress on that study, or?
Guernsey Tingle has done an extensive walkthrough of the high school and this building. They did that a month or so ago. They're supposed to have an estimate to me for you all to consider on March 26th to prepare that concept plan for how everything will fit together. Total for Public Works FY '27 is $2,171,273. That is an increase of $333,479 over FY '26. Moving on to page 30, this is health and welfare. Health Department has a small increase there because we're bound by state code to, if we don't contribute to that, then it's on us to provide our own health department, and I don't think we want to go down that road. Free Health Clinic is asking for level funding. You all gave them an increase last year, and of course, they have a formula that they go by, but when you read Jeannie's letter in the supporting documentation, she puts out the number there that comes up from the formula, but then she ends her letter by stating they'd be very satisfied with level funding, given all of the everything else that the county is undertaking with the new school and various county park projects. So level funding requested by the Free Health Clinic. Community Services Board, a small increase there. Again, we're tied by state code to funding that. And they do provide good services. They provide an alternative to the private day placements in a lot of cases for the children who cannot attend normal public school. And they provide a lot of alternative services that typically cost less than if we had to fund them out through private day placement services. Bay Agent is asking for a little bit of increase there. I think it's basically a 3% increase across the line. Legal Aid Works is level funded. Haven Crisis Shelter is asking for a small increase. On page 31, Comprehensive Services Act, Children's Services Act. This item can go all over the place. I've seen it be as low as $400,000. I've seen it be as high as $800,000. You never know. The actual, as I said, I'm basing my number on the actual FY '25, and that's why I dropped it to $600,000. There's the total social services budget. As you see, you can see the the total is over $4 million, but when you look at the actual expensed in FY '25, it's under $2 million. As I said, they never spend their entire budget. They're never fully staffed, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. I don't know if that has everything to do with it, but.
Do they have any idea on like how the shift in cost to them on the SNAP and benefits, that how that's gonna trickle down to us?
I do not, but that Claudette will be here on the 24th, so that,
I'm not sure they even know, because the General Assembly, I think,
Yeah.
is still kind of kicking that stuff around.
yeah. So, next item is Boys and Girls Club. They're requesting a $15,000 increase. I asked for additional information 2 different times and didn't get a whole lot. So you'll see in the supporting documentation, there's a couple of letters there, but they're asking for a $15,000 increase, and they will be here on the 24th as well. And the food bank is level funded as well. So health and welfare, FY '27 total $5,814,944, which is an increase of $95,043 over FY '26. Page 32, Rappahannock Community College, small increase there. And Dr. Kennedy will be here on the 26th.
I don't see one in for the, okay, it's on a different page.
Were you looking for the Y?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw this blank page, I said, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
no, page 33, they're under recreation and culture for the Y, and they are requesting level funding at $50,000. The Marybone Washington Museum and Library, actually Virginia Historical Society is what they go by now, asking for a small increase in their contribution, $500 increase. Community Library asking for a $13,000 increase. And the Youth Club level funding request. So Recreation and Culture, a total for FY '27, $227,600, which is an increase of $13,515 over FY '26, most of that in the library. Moving on to page 34, community development. I've added a department here, economic development. As I mentioned earlier, John and the EDA are trying to come up with ways to fund some various programs that the EDA wants to provide. This would be the expense side to the revenue side that we talked about earlier, possibly increasing the transient occupancy tax. The one item that I have moved from the county administration budget to this budget is $15,000, and what that is basically for our waterway guide advertising, and there's other things that go with that waterway guide. It's email blasts and various other things, but that's running about $15,000 a year. But I moved that from county administration to this economic development line. And if the board chooses to increase the transient occupancy tax, other items that would be expended would fall in this department. Rappahannock River Basin Commission, 28 consecutive years of a $1,000 request.
On that tax for the Airbnbs, what is the current, what do we charge like hotels? What is the hotel tax?
That's in the town, so I don't
Does the
know.
county have any, know that?
No. Yeah.
Is it just, we don't have access to that taxing authority, or is there just
Well,
no
that-
hotels within the county to
There's
tax?
no hotels within the county. That's why we don't have that. Land Use Administration, that's Olivia's department. Those numbers just reflect a 3%. She is asking for increase under advertising. The advertising, if I'm correct, let me see, for BZA and for Planning Commission, and for land use special exceptions and whatnot, all fall under that line item. And so it's not just land use administration, it's also BZA and Planning Commission. So you can see that's very close to the actual from FY '25. Department of Housing, those numbers just reflect a 3% raise. Page 35, Planning District Commission is level funding. Again, there's a tourism component there, $7,500, so if we did have 3% of that transient occupancy tax that had to be devoted for tourism, part of that could pay that, in addition to the River Realm. Broadband Authority, they've decreased their budget quite a bit. May could, trim it some more. Keith Kidd's gonna be here on, when's he gonna be here? He's gonna be here on the 24th, so. Soil and Water Conservation District level funding, 15,000. Wetlands Board, we budget for 9 meetings. BZA, we have budgeted for 4 meetings of the BZA previously. We're now budgeting for 5 because there's been an uptick in requests for variances through the BZA. Planning Commission, we budget for 11 meetings. Sometimes they only have 9 or 10 a year, but we budget for 11. They're required by code to have at least 6, but we budget for 11. Extension Service there, just a small increase in the contribution to the Extension Service. River Realm has actually decreased to 25,000. You remember back in FY '25, they had a reason for the additional 5,000, and it was supposed to be short-term, so now we're getting back to the typical 25,000 request. And the Bay Consortium Workforce Development Board, that's based on all of the different counties that they serve, and that's $2,741. So total requested on the community development is $816,283, which is a $14,644 increase over FY '26. Page 38, this is non-departmental. We'll be paying for the Tri-County landfill forever. It's typically around $7,000. Enhanced Emergency Telephone Department, that's also Glenn, $75,000 there. A lot of that is state money, state funded. Local share of that $75,000 is $45,000. So $87,925 request total, which is actually a $700 reduction from FY '26. Page 39 is the school system. This is how they're going to, how they allocate their expenses to the different categories. Grand total is $21,978,143. Page 40, capital improvement items. Got that broken down, school capital improvements and county capital improvements. And if you look under the requested FY '27 column, you'll see the numbers have been reduced greatly after constructing the new school. They're actually reducing their school bus replacement numbers some. And basically going from, they were in a 1 bus this year, purchase 1 bus this year, purchase 2 buses next year, then 1 and 2, 1 and 2. They were in that rotation for many years, but they now feel that they're running 1 bus route and that they don't need to stick with that rotation. So what they're doing now is 1 bus and like a mini bus, a smaller bus that they can take a smaller number of people to sporting events or which helps them out because these smaller minibuses do not require CDL. And and finding people to drive them is always difficult. So that's their plan there. They have put in replacements for the air handlers at the elementary school because that was not replaced during the renovation back in 2020. You'll see under the county capital improvements under FY '27, there's some items there. We know from the past that our EMS department has had to create their own pharmacy.
How is that going?
It's actually going okay, going well. But this is what they're requesting here is an automated dispensing cabinet that would be located at each volunteer rescue squad and also at the maternity center, which would help them out with, swapping out the medicines in the units. So Matt can explain that more. If you go further down, FY '27, you'll see the jail intercom system replacement. Jeffrey, we're on track for the capital improvement items to be discussed at your April 9th meeting. The Planning Commission will hold their public hearing next Thursday night on these items. So they may have, a different recommendation based after their public hearing, and they may not. So we'll see how that plays out.
I'll read it, but they feel they need a inmate transport van now.
Yeah. I'll let Jeffrey talk about that. They, that transport van can carry more than one prisoner at a time.
Yeah, I understand.
And, if they use a typical patrol car, they can only transport one prisoner. But, the question needs to be asked, how often are you carrying more than one? And, is it worth,
130.
yeah, so. And the Planning Commission asked those questions at their first meeting in February, so.
Ongoing maintenance of that vehicle.
And then they've also got a patrol vehicle there as well, 58,000. I've asked the sheriff's office to consider trying to get another year out of the vehicles.
That's all a cop car costs now, is 58,000?
That's the state bid, but then you gotta outfit it.
Okay, so that sounds like a bargain, because pretty
Yeah.
much, you can't even get a personal car for that.
Well, you get them on state bid, they're coming bare bones, and it's a good price. But they still have to outfit it with lights and
Another-
push bar and,
$20,000
They
and
got
stuff.
one they leave parked in Irvington all the time.
well, that's the one that was supposedly sold to Irvington.
Yeah, and they were supposed to change the logo on it.
Logo
and
and
they still
everything,
haven't-
And it hasn't been
Still the
done.
same.
I know,
I see it every day.
I know.
What is the rotation on the sheriff's vehicles?
I'm gonna have to find that out. I don't know an exact answer on that. But, we all know that technology has improved over the years and cars last longer. So, like, as I said, I've asked them to see if they can get another year out of them. And, I haven't gotten the response I want from that, so. And, there's always three sitting over here, in front of the investigator's office, which are extras. So,
And what's wrong with
That's what we'll have to
those?
send John to all those meetings in.
what's
Are they
that?
not equipped for service?
Oh, no, they're equipped. Yeah, they're just extras, because, periodically, they'll have a deer strike or something, and one has to go to the body shop, so they have a spare, they can use it for transport, a spare vehicle, so.
Yeah,
All good questions for Patrick on the 26th.
That van, I certainly have my questions on that.
They also have requested a network server replacement at $30,000. And the electoral board has a request for new poll pads of $19,910. These poll pads are basically iPads that the poll workers use to check people in when they come to vote. Years ago, they used to have the ledger sheets, and they had to roll them over, and they ask you to state your name and your address and whatnot. And now they use these poll pads. But these poll pads, if I remember correctly, were purchased in 2018, and, they're basically obsolete, so. So again, a total of only $720,364 for FY '27, but that could change after the Planning Commission holds their public hearing next Thursday night. Page 42, this is the big one, the debt service schedule. Top of the page there, short-term debt service. We haven't had to request a revenue anticipation note in quite a while, but I leave it there in case we do in the future. The next item is the school energy performance note. That is the one that's paid off. You'll see that there's a $205,000 savings from FY '26 to FY '27 there, because that note is paid off. The next note is the Truist Bank that I was speaking of earlier, where we had the arbitrage rebate payment due. That's our annual debt service on that for FY '27. And I've got the full debt service schedules later on in following pages. The next item is the Greentown Gaskins. This is for the sewage treatment plant. That note was put into place, I think, in 2016. It's at like 1.18% interest or something, so it's a 40-year note, so even though it's only $5,760 a year, I mean, you'll never get 1.18 money again, so I do not have the debt service schedule printed on that one, because it's a 40-year note, and I didn't want to take up the space on the paper for that, but that's, last item on the page there is the 2022 VPSA school bond. The big difference there is we start principal reduction in FY '27. For that note, that's $1,085,000 of new debt service money that we have not had to pay in prior years. If you flip to page 43, the VRA 2020C bond, you may remember that's the bond that refunded or refinanced 2014 and 2019 loans. There was a savings there. If you look at the actual FY25 and the adopted FY26, there was an $800,000 savings there between 25 and 26. That's because the refunding of the 2014 note got paid off, and what we're working on now is the 2019 part of that, and that will be paid off in 2029. So, but we have to continue paying that until 2029. Next item is the VPSA 2020 school bond. That was for the renovation of the middle school. That's our annual debt service there. Next item is the new non-school capital projects, Virginia Resource Authority bond taken out last August with VRA. You'll see that we did include $334,000 in interest in FY26, but there is an additional $304,105 in FY27 requested because we pick up principal reduction beginning in FY27. And the last item on that is the $15 million 2025 VPSA bond to finish out the school, and that is an increase in our debt service line item of $904,504. So you'll see a net increase of $2,062,769 in debt service, and that's not a one-time thing, that's an annual thing. That's going to carry right on until 2056. So we've got to figure out a way to get that extra money in the budget at some point. Now, these grants that we are getting will help short-term, which may enable us to phase in, tax increases so that it doesn't have to all be done at one time. It could be, a phased-in approach to get that extra debt service there. And after that, you'll see I have the debt service schedules for each of the bonds, except for the USDA Greentown Gaskins note. And over to page 46, that's just a summary page similar to the synopsis page, but this page includes the capital improvement projects in their totals. Just another way of looking at it and checking numbers, cross-checking numbers. And then the final part of the packet that you have is the personnel section, which lists all of the personnel and their salaries and benefits. So that's all I've got for the budget presentation. Anybody have any questions right offhand? As I said, the Planning Commission will hold a public hearing on the capital improvement budget next Thursday. You have a work session scheduled Tuesday, March 24th at 5 p.m. You have 15 presentations scheduled. I'll send out by email a list of those presenters, and I'll have as I usually do, a copy of this budget at your desks that night. And on the agenda, I'll have the page numbers, so that when a speaker gets up, you'll know which page to turn to be able to follow along with their request. You have 8 presenters scheduled for 5 o'clock on Thursday, March the 26th. Of course, you also have a regular meeting that night, and so that's why there's less on the 26th than on the 24th. So, and
It seems like half the increase in the budget cost is debt service, and half of it is basically mandated General Assembly increases to
It's-
salary,
yeah,
when you boil it down to it.
yeah. I mean, you got 2 million in debt service increase. You've got almost 1 million in increase in the schools, and the rest of it is
Mostly
all the
salaries,
departments.
I
Yeah,
mean, maybe a few $100,000, maybe a penny's worth of
yeah,
other associated
yeah.
stuff.
So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would request that we go into a closed meeting. I would like to talk about personnel related to the budget and also a acquisition disposition of real property. And Jason, you have the motion there, unless you all have any other questions.
Anybody have any questions?
I see Mr. Palin yawning, so.
Well, just one question. So when do we start talking about our debt and then being able to handle that? Are we looking at,
I mean, this is it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, this is, you know, yeah, I'm looking at you all having to do one more borrowing. I mean, we got a move plan,
Right.
moving county administration to the high school, sheriff's office into this building. And I've told Guernsey Tingle that, you know, I expect their concept plan to show how it all fits together, but with the least amount of cost as possible.
right?
I mean, that's what I've instructed them to do, and if anybody feels different than that, please let me know, because that's what I've instructed them to do.
Yeah.
And like I said, we've got a bid opening tomorrow for the Carter's Cove Park. That's our last park that we will be bidding out. Don't know what those numbers are gonna come in, but there's a good chance that may exceed the balance of the last borrowing that we did, the 10 million for the you know, the park projects, non-school related. So, you know, I think we need to wait till, we won't know until we know that number.
Okay.
And then, like I said, Guernsey Tingle's coming back with a proposal, supposedly, for you all to consider March 26th, of what it's gonna cost for them to put that concept plan together. I mean, they spent a full day here, I don't know, several weeks ago, walking through both buildings. We went up on the roof at the high school, and, you know, they took copious amount of notes and
Sure, that's gonna
pictures.
be a pretty good size number.
To do that, you know, I don't know. I mean,
Are we also addressing emergency
50,000 at
services?
least.
the emergency services would move to the high school.
Okay.
And, you know,
Because we're not doing what we're
Well,
doing here.
you know, you all instructed me when we got that estimate back for $13.8 million, I think it was, to have Guernsey Tingle look at this option.
Yes.
And so that's what I've done. And like I said, I've instructed them, you know, we want to make this move, but we want it to be as, as cost-effective as possible. You know,
I still won't be surprised if it's a $20 million cost.
well, I hope not, but,
The sheriff's office has no desire to
Everything is
go
expensive.
over there, right?
no, it makes more sense for them to be here. They need to be close to the
But don't
court.
they
But
need
it's still
upgrades?
It'll be cheaper.
Don't they need some upgrades?
It's
on
cheaper.
that?
Yes,
I mean-
it's cheaper than building a new.
Well,
think it would
if
be.
they move over here, that'll free up
It would
space
be
in the
regards to
jail
that
for
building
the
over
jail
there.
officers, and we're looking at probably dispatch being over there in Betty's office.
Spend more.
When I talked to Jeffrey, he talked a little bit about the.
Well, they don't want to move up there, period.
Well, no, no,
Who's
they don't
that?
want to, but they talked about the jail, and there was some upgrades that they needed to do.
Well, they have gotten a grant. They haven't seen the money, typical grant yet, but to do upgrades there.
Okay, so we're not looking at.
No,
making
that
any
would be
decisions
funded
on-
through a grant, but, you know, their problem is space.
Yeah,
And, you know, coming up here, being the only only department in this building would give them plenty of space. So,
Who are you referring to, Don?
the sheriff's office.
Okay.
So,
But you say they're not keen on moving.
they're not keen on moving up here, but it makes sense for them to be close to the court.
Yeah.
And,
When you say moving up here, you mean moving from there to here?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't see
Well,
much
they-
of a move.
They want the new building. They want a new building. Patrol division's already here.
Well, I mean, it's not like this building won't be sort of new when they move in, because it'll have to be renovated.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it would
meet
be,
their
it would be
needs.
some renovation. I mean, we've had renovation, multiple times over the years here. And, it's a sturdy building. This building isn't going anywhere. These walls, these brick walls are 16 inches thick. I mean, look at the jamb on those windows. You see how thick this building is. I mean, if we have some bad weather or something, this is where I want to be. So,
Ready for a motion?
Yeah.
I move that the Board of Supervisors enter a closed meeting for one, personnel per section 2.23711A1 of the Code of Virginia as amended, and two, acquisition and disposition of real property per 2.23711A3 of the Code of Virginia as amended.
Gentlemen, you've heard the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
it's up to you. You don't have to be.
Move to close session. correct?
Everybody certified,
All right.
Don, do we adjourn or do we,
You can adjourn until Tuesday, the 24th at 5 p.m.
okay.
Okay. All right. I move that the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors adopt the following certification resolution. Whereas the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors convened in a closed meeting on March 12, 2026, pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote on the motion to close the meeting to discuss personnel and acquisition disposition of real property in accordance with Section 2.2-3711.A.1 and 2.2-3711.A.3 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas Section 2.2-3712D of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Board of Supervisors that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Lancaster County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, 1, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and 2, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting to which this certification applies. Before a vote is taken on this resolution, is there any member who believes there was a departure from the requirements of number 1 and number 2 above? If so, identify yourself and state the substance of the matter and why, in your judgment, it was a departure. Hearing no statement, I call the question. Mr. Bellows,
I certify.
Mr. Lee,
I certify.
Mr. Palin,
I certify.
Mr. Smith,
I certify.
Mr. Geezy, I certify. This certification resolution is adopted.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we be adjourned.
Recessed until.
Recess until March the 24th,
Okay.
5 p.m.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you, gentlemen.